Welcome to the place where we learn about and learn from the leaders in our field who are powering human creativity. I am Aaron Dworkin, and this is Arts Engines. Thanks again for joining me here on Arts Engines. Today's guest is Gabriela Muñoz, who serves as the Senior Program Coordinator for the National Accelerator at the Herberger Institute for Design and the Arts at Arizona State University. Gabriela, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for the invite.
So, I'm so excited to be able to talk to you. There's obviously, a host of fascinating things going on at ASU, specifically at the Herberger Institute, one of our Arts Engines creative partners. And so I just, totally want to delve into these. So I thought I'd just start with the National Accelerator Program for Cultural Innovation. So if you could kind of share, what is that? What is the scope of the work that you're really overseeing there? And especially keeping in mind, we get a lot of people who tune in from other universities, colleges, music schools, art schools, et cetera. And so they might have an interest in either seeing, can they, replicate or learn from some of this work you're doing. So if we could just learn a little more about what that program is.
Yeah, we're really, I would say, we're within the Dean's office. And we're really a collaborative of arts and culture supporters. There are several of us who work together. My portfolio of work is really to support the work that artists and cultural workers are doing, and to create networks within throughout the Southwest. I work really closely with two other amazing women, Estrella Esquilin, who does the work that she contributes and stewards within the accelerator is really connected to, how do we connect and support our student population and connect them to the artists that we might bring in, or the incredible culture bearers that we find within our community. So really elevating that community wisdom and connecting it to our student body population, developing tools for artists, and sort of learning professional development. And then Jen Cole, who really is incredibly connected in the policy world. So how do we connect the learning that we do from artists, from the community, from our students, and really inform the policy work that might be sort of shaping a larger ecosystem, locally, regionally, and now nationally.
Wow. Well, that's, it's extraordinary work. And a lot of times I love that basically embedded in all of this, at least what I'm hearing, is the collaboration, right? That networking and having that directly benefit students. And, I think so many times, even when we might bring some amazing people to campus, we don't have those processes or systems to connect our students to these amazing people, other than, yes, they come in, they get to see or hear a great lecture or performance or, artistic engagement, but then they're gone, right? And then where's the depth, where are the things that surround that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we definitely think about that a lot. Both Estrella and myself are actually ASU alum, and we're both MFA alums. So we're both practicing artists. And Jen has a long career of serving, arts and culture populations. So we really think about, students are really just emerging arts professionals that are not in the workforce yet, right? And they also, they come from backgrounds that have such a depth of knowledge already. And so we really think about peer-to-peer learning. So one of the most recent collaborations we had was with Projecting All Voices Fellows. It's a fellowship program that we steward within the Accelerator. It supports BIPOC artists from throughout the Southwest, supports their artistic process, And we collaborated with a few of our colleagues in the student services area of Herberger with Design and Arts Corps, which is another program within the Dean's office. And then my colleague Estrella Esquilin sort of really, all of them sort of steward a series of dialogues with students. And so the fellows and the students shaped the conversations and shaped the public programs. And then there are a series of sort of engagements so that the students really develop not just a contact, but a relationship, which is a whole other ballgame. And really, we're thinking about, supporting rhizomatic networks that can live both within and without the institution.
Wow. So, I mean, I think it's really extraordinary, and especially the connectivity and playing off of other parts of the university. I think anytime any of our big institutions, when we can kind of either break down the barriers between our various silos or build bridges. So even if the silo has to be there, at least there's a bridge that makes it easy for people to cross back and forth, I think is so important.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that's really special, I think, of all the places I've worked with is really the true collaboration. I mean, when my colleague Xanthia Walker, who, is one of the main kind of leads for Design and Arts Corps, approached me and Estrella about this work, the question never came up of like, whose logo is going to be on this flyer, right? It was always about really thinking about like, what is the benefit to our student? What is the benefit to the fellows? And what do we want the long-term results to be? And I think, for me, definitely that's a really, really special, productive way to work.
Yeah, well, no, it's really awesome. And obviously that work that you're doing at ASU is really just critically important. And I think a lot of us can learn from that in our own institutions. So also on Arts Engines, I always love to kind of get a sense of the trajectory and backgrounds of our guests. And I know you've spent time at the, I think, Arizona Commission for the Arts. You've spent time in the museum sector. And so it seems you have this breadth of experiences that you bring to the academic world of the arts. And just wondering if you could kind of speak on that and whether those past experiences have informed your own evolutionary path, as an arts leader.
Absolutely. I mean, I was very, very fortunate. While I was getting my MFA here at ASU, I took a class from a curator who was working out of Phoenix Art Museum. She was a curator of contemporary art, Sarah Cochran. And I learned a lot, right, about art history and about museums. And then eventually I ended up, working there part-time. It was wonderful. I learned a lot about museums, which was really helpful for me as an artist. And now it's really helpful for me as an arts administrator. So for example, one of the things that we make sure and do is connect our fellows to curators. And so, definitely we have a deep connection to ASU Art Museum. They're doing an incredible project called Undoing Time. And we've been in talks. It's about incarceration and really looking at, I'm going to butcher it, right? They're doing such incredible work in thinking through the imagery that shapes the way we visualize and think about incarceration in this country and how those images then reinforce. And so they're really thinking through how can a museum disrupt and think, engage in conversation about disrupting that narrative. Yeah. And so, we're in conversations with them about how can the fellows connect to the exhibition artists and how can the students really engage with the artists who will be in the exhibition in a deep way. Connecting some of our visual artists to the curatorial staff at Scottsdale Museum of Contemporary Art and Phoenix Art Museum. One of our fellows, Horacio Rodriguez, is really interested in developing his own curatorial practice. so that he's a visual artist, but he's really thinking about representation within his own community, and thinking about writing about their cultural production, right? Utilizing his voice in a more powerful way, I think. And so, one of the things we did was connect him to Marisa del Toro, who is an emerging, incredible curatorial professional.
Wow.
To develop a relationship beyond that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, no, this is just such extraordinary work, and I think so much that all of us can learn from. So unfortunately, we're just about out of time, but I'm always curious, obviously when you do this work, and I can only imagine, especially collaborating and bringing and redirecting so many of these resources to your fellows, to students, that there could be some tough days, some days with big challenges, things that might seem, the insurmountable. And just curious, when those times occur, where do you go for inspiration, for strength, so that you're able to do all of this leadership work that you do?
Honestly, I connect with the artists in my community, the artists that I collaborate with as a practicing artist. And the fellows themselves. I've had some tough days, and I'll get on a call about how is it that we can shape the fellowship. The fellowship is really being co-designed by each of the fellows. We don't have an imposed trajectory for each one of them. It's really shaped on their changing and evolving artistic practice. And so those phone calls, when I hear about what it is that we're doing by supporting them through, they receive just a monthly stipend, and they decide what to do with, right? Because artists know how they need to support themselves. We don't need to figure that out. Artists are smart, and they know how to budget. And when I hear from them about the things that they're working on, about the impact that they're having in their communities, and about the ways in which this fellowship is supporting them through a global pandemic, where we're seeing artists having to stop their practice, right, to put food on their tables, that is incredibly nourishing. I mean, it's really a privilege to do this work.
Wow. Gabriela Muñoz, you truly are one of the arts engines that is powering human creativity in our world. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Well, thank you so much.